And we're back again, here to take on the later half of Kalos. I feel like these opening segments are getting shorter, especially without explaining the rules or anything. Anyway though, now that we have defeated Ramos, we have to chase a bunch of Team Flare goons away, as the villainous plot starts to unfold. With us taking down the first of the scientists and her strangely over-leveled Mariana for this point in the game. For reference, Aliana's Mariana is one level higher than Clements Gym, the next gym leader's ace. A little bit odd, but it's her only Pokemon, so we move on safely. No real issues here. Speaking of Clement though, Clement is your, well, standard run-of-the-mill electric type gym leader at this point. Speed and special attack is his forte, and even borrowing Elisa's volt switching Emolga tactic. The thing with Clement is that just bringing a ground type is not going to shut him down, as each of his Pokemon has a move to hit them, in the form of Aerial Ace, Mirror Shot and Grass Knot respectively. And while a ground type is not a 100% win strategy, you do get one guaranteed ground type in the desert earlier, and they're all really good against him and give you a fighting edge, in the form of either Trapinch, Dugtrio or Gible. Trapinch, especially after evolving into a Vibrava, can just style on this gym battle. Not 100% win like I said, but it's a really strong contender. A Lantern with Volt Absorb also make this gym incredibly easy, as it won't take too much from the other attacks that Clement has either, not even Grass Knot from Heliolisk. Thumper can easily be used to take down Emolga and Magneton, but the Grass Knot from Heliolisk is something to watch out for. And finally, any grass type you might have gotten your hands on will resist most of the stuff Clement wants to try, bar Emolga's Aerial Ace. My strategy involved leading with Thumper, quickly taking out Emolga with 2 Rock Slides. Heliolisk then comes out, so Claudia Mega evolves, gets paralyzed, but takes him down with relative ease. Finally, Magneton gets crushed by the newly evolved Lashana, who just fired off Scalds. We then have a little chitter-chatter with our friends outside of Lumios, and then we head straight to the next gym, with nothing much of note happening in this route either. Again, I know I could be talking about the encounters in the game, but I'm more or less making these scripts on the fly, and I don't want to sit here and twiddle about how each encounter is useful, especially when I don't end up using most of them. Something I promise to be more detailed with if I do another project like this in the future. Speaking of the next gym though, we get Valerie to end the gym gauntlet we are currently on. Seriously, from Chalor Gym to Valeries Gym, it's 4 gym battles back to back, and the level difference between each is like 2 or 3. Corona's level cap is 32, the 3rd gym, and Valerie is 42, the 6th gym. They kinda packed all of these gyms together in one section of the game. But yeah, Valerie uses the Fairy type, and while that typing is a bit problematic in itself to deal with, Valerie's Pokemon themselves aren't really that strong. Her Mawile is a Mawile, and it doesn't have Intimidate, with Feint Attack, Crunch and Iron Defense as its only moves. It resists a lot of things, sure, but you hit that thing hard enough with any special attacker and it goes down quickly. Her Mr. Mime can set up a Reflect and Light Screen, sure, but Mr. Mime also has Paper for defenses, letting Thumper, the Steelix, knock it out with 2 Gyro Balls. And it's also hard-walled by Doublade if you get that. And her Sylveon uses Quick Attack and Swift, which doesn't deal a lot of damage. She has Charm to debuff, and the only other move that she has that is worth worrying about is Dazzling Gleam. Valerie is just easy to defeat. Her Pokemon aren't particularly strong, so any Pokemon with the slightest bit of defense makes this battle more or less impossible to lose. Snorlax, Steelix, the Kanto starter you picked, Gyarados, Lapras, you'll be fine! Exactly like I was. Just fine, battling against her. Lashana tagged hits from Mawile and ruined her with Scald, Thumper Gyroballed Mr. Mime like I said she could, and then Claudia Mega Evolved and sent Sylveon hurling through the walls of the makeshift dollhouse of a gym. Blah blah Team Flare at the Pokeball Factory, blah blah Team Flare up in the Frozen Mountains, blah blah Serena wants to battle before the gym so we defeat her. Now we talk about Olympia, but first I have to address the fact that I have apparently been sipping too much of the Dum Dum juice as I leave in Gamatachi against an Executor, and get him killed from a Woodhammer. Thinking Night Slash will be enough to win. All my starters are cursed to not survive unless they are a Bulbasaur. Oh, and the Miltank I've been using ends up falling to a Gardevoir who set up one too many times as well. 2 more losses from me. Yikes. So then, Olympia. Olympia can be a little bit tricky to deal with because she loves to set up on you. Sigilip will set up Light Screen and or Reflect, and both her Slowking and Meowstic have Calm Mind. The former also has Yawn to make it harder to deal with if it lands. You should bring physical attackers to break to their defenses, in all honesty. A really solid pick for dealing with Olympia is Tyrantrum. It naturally gets Crunch and it has Strong Jaw to deal a ton of damage. You can also use any of the encounters you get on Route 9 to similar effect. Hippowdon and Crocodile both naturally get Crunch, the former sets up Sandstorm to take less damage from special attacks, and the later is a Dark type, so it's immune to half of the moves Olympia uses. And then Heliolisk, while not as effective as the other two, does come with a stab boost to Thunderbolt to take care of both Slowking and Sigilip as quickly as it can. Basically, anything you get from that section in the game, Route 9 and Aquacart Town, except Aurora's, will help you here. Same with most Dark and Steel types, or the Snorlax, but don't use Thumperhair, she has low special defense and Olympia will brutally murder her. Originally I was going to style on Olympia with Gamatachi, but instead I get to style on her with Celine instead. Sigilip goes for both Light Screen and Reflect to start, so I get 2 free Calm Minds up as follows. I get 1 more up before getting flinched, but knock Sigilip into the red, which lets me set up 1 more time as she uses the turn to heal. What follows is Celine fighting Meowstic through the light screens, which I honestly should have stalled out instead, where she barely scrapes by. 1 critical hit would have ended Celine, but I was willing to take this risk. Last is their Slowking, and without the screens, a +4 Thunderbolt is more than enough to take it out as well. Not a clean victory, a very risky victory, a lot of stuff could have gone wrong, but a win is a win. And with that gym badge in hand, the climax of the Team Flare plot begins. I take some time to train up a squad that can take us through Lysandre Labs safely, but then instantly lose Henrik to Lysandre's Pyroar. So much for that. Well, despite that loss, the rest of Lysandre Labs was very much a non-issue. We beat all the Team Flare scientists again, then we jump skip over to Geosenge Town, infiltrate the Team Flare headquarters, beat everyone there, catch Cernius, defeat Lysandre, and the world is now saved. Slightly abridged. Back to the gym challenge, we battle 3 of our 4 rivals on this dinky bridge before we get to Snowball City, where the final gym leader awaits us. But yet again before that, we head to the next route, and unfortunately lose Shelly the Gyarados to a Rock Wrecker Crustle. But Equivalent Exchange kicks in and we get Kalia the Dragonair back on the squad. Now for Wulfric. Wulfric is what we've come to expect from Ice-type trainers now. Total pushovers. Abomasnow might be strong, but any 2 hits from any of its 7 weaknesses is enough to take it out. Cryogonal might have a good chunk of special defense, but just punt it with a physical attack while holding a person barrier so it can't confuse you, and you'll be fine. And finally, Avalugg can handle anything special whatsoever. It might be able to live a hit and hit back with Avalanche, but that 1 hit is likely the only hit it will ever get off. Ever. A Simisear at the level cap, holding a Charcoal with Flame Charge and Flamethrower, is enough to take out all 3 of these, with the weakest nature possible and weakest IVs in the game, and nearly no effort value investment needed, if that says enough. Fire types and special attackers in general is that get out of jail free card here, with a quick switch up to a physical attacker with the person barrier for Cryogonal, or just use the Lucario that Corona gives you for a super easy mode. My battle against Wulfric went as follows. I start with Atlas, he punched the tar out of Abomasnow, he then punched the tar out of Cryogonal, Celine then comes in, cleans up Avalugg, even living an Avalanche, which I actually cacked beforehand this time, earning us the 8th badge, done and done. After defeating Wulfric, I took some extra time off to fully ground out a separate team to get us through the victory road. Because there's some surprisingly strong trainers here that could end up taking out my teammates were I not careful. But after getting through the victory road, I gathered my actual team, consisting of Tiamat the Garchomp, Kalia the Dragonite, Slim Shady the Gudra, Helios the Volcarona, Stewie the Leafeon, and Ichigo the Medicham, to take on the league so we could finally leave Kalos. And yes, I did spend time to get the Eevee from the maid at the hotels, so I could have a Leafeon for the Elite Four. Thanks for asking. First up is Malva and her fire types. Ichigo starts out by taking out Pyroar with the Drain Punch. Kalia then has to face down Talonflame using Wing Attack, because I forgot to teach her Dragon Claw before this battle, but she made it out okay. Tiamat then takes out the token Fire type for female trainers by using Earthquake, followed by taking out Chandelure the exact same way. Vikstrom and his Steel types are next. Helios starts out using Fire Dance to knock out Klefki. We then make Vikstrom use up all his potions by having Ichigo punch Probopass down to his sturdy a few times before Aegislash comes out. And thanks to Tiamat's Earthquake and Crunch, the Living Blade is dealt with without any casualties. Last is Caesar, and Kalia simply fire punches that into oblivion. Following that, we battle against Drasna and her dragons. An Earthquake from Tiamat is enough to take out Dragalge, prompting Drasna to send out Altaria. Altaria then gets one-shot by Shady's Ice Beam, and then it turns out Shady is faster than the Noivern, something I didn't account for, which let him take that one out with an Ice Beam as well with no damage taken. Shady's Dragon Pulse almost takes out Druddigon, which then almost takes out Shady with a Dragon Tail, which drags out Ichigo, which then beats Thunder Druddigon with a series of Ice Punches, ending the Drasna battle. Final member of the Elite Four is Seabold and his water types. Stewie leads off against his Cloyster, which he takes out with a Leaf Blade, prompting him to send out Barbarical, who also gets taken out by a Leaf Blade. Seabold then tries to stop us with his Gyarados, but Shady has Thunderbolt in his moveset, stopping Gyarados, which then leaves Starmie as his last Pokemon, which Stewie also deals with using another Leaf Blade. Now it was finally time for Diantha. Arguably the easiest champion battle in the entire franchise, but still someone who could potentially take out at least one of my teammates, so I couldn't take them into Alola with me. She opens with Hawlucha, while I open with Shady. Shady's Thunderbolt is enough to take Hawlucha down. This prompts her to send out Auroras, who I respond to with Tiamat, who still has Iron Head in her movesets, taking the Ice Rock out. Diantha's own Gura does not get taken out by Ichigo's Ice Punch. It lives on a sliver, letting it strike back with Dragon Pulse, but his second punch gets a high roll to knock it out. Diantha's Gorgas then comes out, and it ends up being setup fodder for Kalia, who sets up a couple of Dragon Dances before taking it out with a Fire Punch, and then taking out Diantha's Tyrantrum with Earthquake afterwards. Now comes Diantha's Mega Gardevoir, and I switch into Tiamat for this. Under normal circumstances, with Tiamat's nature and stats, she would be unable to knock out Gardevoir in one hit. But I came prepared by having Tiamat hold a little bit of Metal Coat. It powers up her Steel-type moves, letting her land a single Iron Head, ending the battle. And with 8 losses in this game alone, I am so glad my calculations were right this time around. We beat Diantha, we didn't lose any more Pokemon, and we're now ready to head into Generation 7. The final stop for this Genlocke, as I'm not doing Sword and Shield, and also the final gauntlet before Scarlet and Violet releases. The 10 legacies I have available should be on the screen, and now I shall prepare for Alola, C moves, and the insane battles that await me there at the end of the journey. Kuboklon, signing out. See you all next time.